dosage calculations. In some medications, you have to determine the recommendation for a particular individual before administering the order, because the order could be too much or not enough. So we need to calculate. So I see here, I have an order of 187 milligrams by mouth every 8 hours, and said for a child. And the child weighs 30.5 pounds. So when I go to the label to determine which factor that I need to use for this particular patient, I see that those are pediatric patients, and then I see there's for adults. We're going to use the pediatrics. It says it has 20 milligrams per kilogram per day, and then it's got up to 40 milligrams per kilogram per day. And it says here, divided doses every 12 hours. Okay, I know the order says every 8 hours. The label says every 12 hours. So we have a little bit extra work to do here. So what I want to do is recognize that it's in pounds, and the minimum and maximum is based upon kilograms. And since we are determining if this is safe or not, we don't want to round on the patient's weight. So what I would do is just take that 30.5 pounds, and we're going to divide by 2.2 pounds, and it's times 1 kilogram. I'm going to go ahead and put it over 1 because I want to factor in the 20 milligrams per kilogram per day. And sometimes when you divide the patient's weight by 2.2, you get a nice clean number, but sometimes you get a lot of decimal places, and you don't want to round because it could be crucial. So I'm not going to round here. I'm going to go through here and mark out my units, make sure they reduce. And some of you are going to see a shortcut here to solve this problem, and that's fine too. So now we have 30.5 times 20, and it's all divided by 2.2. And that gives me and I'm going to write it down underneath right here, 277.27, and it repeats on the 27 milligrams per day. All right. So we know this, and in this class here, we're going to round to the nearest hundreds. And the reason why I knew that it was going to stay 27, because since 27 repeats, I know it's going to be 27, 27, 27. This 2 is less than 5, so it doesn't change the 7. All right, so here is my minimum per day. I know that there's not a spot here asking you, yeah, here's a minimum per dosage. My apologies, it's right underneath that. Okay, so let's solve for the minimum per dosage. So I'm going to take this 277.27 milligrams. And in the place a day, I'm going to figure out how many doses is that. Well, it said here every 12 hours. So in a 24-hour period, 12 hours happens how many times? 2 times. So that gives me 2 doses. So in the place of day, because we all agree 24 hours equals 1 day. So in the place of day, I'm going to put 2 doses. And let's divide that 277.27 by 2. And that gives me 138.635 milligrams per dose. In this class, we're going to round to the nearest hundreds. So that gives me 138.64 milligrams per dose. All right. So this is my minimum. So let's go to the next one. Let's do our maximum. So it says our maximum per day. So we're going to take our 30.5 pound patient, divide it by 2.2 pounds times 1 kilogram. I'm going to put it over 1 times that 40 milligrams per kilogram per day. And let's see what we get. All right, I get 554.54, and it repeats, meaning 545454. So I'm going to write it out. Repeats. This 5 is equal to 5, so it causes that 4 to go up. So when I go up, I need to round it to the nearest hundreds. It gives me 5. All right. So that is the maximum per day. Let's find the maximum per dose. All right, so to do that, we know that in one day we're going to have 2 doses. So I'm going to take that 554.55 milligrams, and in the place of day, I'm going to put 2 doses. All right, so we'll take 554.55 divided by 2, and that gives me 277.275 milligrams per dose. And we're going to round to the nearest hundreds. And it's going to give me 277.28 milligrams per dose. So now I got my maximum per dose. Well, let's go back to the order. The order actually states per dose, right? It says 187 milligrams by mouth every 8 hours. So that's per dose. And every 8 hours is going to happen 3 times in one day. Right? So that means there's going to be 3 doses in one day. But the recommended talked about 2 doses per day. So what we got to do is we got to figure out how much total will you take in one day with the order, and we can compare it to the minimum per day and the maximum per day to determine if this is going to be safe for that patient. All right, so let's do that. The order is 187 milligrams, and they're going to take 3 doses, right? And I can rewrite this different. Let's rewrite it. Let's clean it up better. So we got 187 milligrams per dose, and they're going to take 3 doses in one day. So 187 times 3 gives me 561 milligrams per day. That's the order. So I'm going to take this order, and I'm going to determine, is the order safe? Because the recommended is based upon per body weight, right, per kilogram, and we need to make sure that the doctor didn't order more than what is recommended for the patient. So we have a minimum of 277.27 milligrams, right, per day. And then we have this maximum of 554.55 milligrams per day. So if the order is less than the minimum, if it falls back here, it's less than the minimum, then it's not effective. So it won't be safe because it's not effective. If the order is greater than the maximum, which falls on this side of the numbers, then that means that the order is not safe because they prescribe too much medication. If the order falls between the minimum and maximum, and it can also be equal to either one, then it is safe. So let's look at the order. The order is 561, which actually falls right here on this side of the maximum, meaning that this order is not safe. It is too much. It exceeded the maximum amount. The maximum recommended amount.